Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Created to Write show. Today I have with me Colin, all the way from USA. Colin, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
So my name is Colin, Colin Murugiah, if you're interested in pronouncing my surname. I'm a author coach. I'm from England, currently residing in the US. I've been here for 8 years, and the Lord called me about 3 years ago to teach others what He's taught me. And since I have been writing for 25 years, I decided that's where I would start. So I think
Awesome.
that's probably the brief intro.
The brief intro. And so, what was it that first made you want to write 25
Oh,
years ago?
we're going to have to jump back quite some time. I was around 13 or so, and I was running out of fantasy books to read. I was reading a lot of secular fantasy books, some of the Christian ones that I'd read. Nothing wrong with them exactly, but they weren't exactly my cup of tea, my niche. And the secular ones, they were, but they were lacking that Christian component. Now, of course, during that time, we've seen many more Christian fantasy books come out. But back then, um, I had kind of exhausted the ones that I wanted to read. And so I said to myself at the age of 15, I really don't have any right to complain if I'm not prepared to do something about it. And so that got me started on a journey with the awareness that I wasn't mature enough to write the books that I wanted to read. And so it's been
Hmm.
it's been quite a journey.
I see. So, you write fantasy, and who do you write for? What age group or who?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question because ultimately I'm writing for the Lord because everything I have is going to go at his feet. But I'm also writing for 15-year-old, 20-year-old me. And it isn't entirely fantasy because I do like fantasy, but I also like science fiction. And I kind of like science fantasy more than medieval fantasy or
Mm.
straight
Mhm.
space opera science fiction. There's a whole plethora in the spectrum, as I'm sure you're aware.
There is. I
Sorry, go
don't
ahead.
tend to read a lot of fantasy. I do read the odd sci-fi, and I like when it's that blend too. I like the cross-genre books.
But yeah, so I'm hoping that anyone who will like the stuff that I read or write will also like what I'm writing, just as I'm hoping that, my target audience, 15, 20-year-old me, anyone who anyone who will enjoy that really.
Yeah. So tell me, what does your writing routine look like?
Well, up until about last week, I was writing pretty much on a daily basis. Now, at the time of recording this, yesterday was American Thanksgiving, and so Thanksgiving week has kind of disrupted everything. But generally, what I will do is I will begin the day with prayer, prayer, worship, spending time with the Lord. And my writing, in an ideal world, will follow that. As an author coach, I tell all of my clients, my students, open with prayer. I don't believe that the Lord has writer's block, and therefore neither do you. But you have to be in Him. Now, that's the ideal world. Um, I just write throughout the day. I write when I'm in the shower. I write when I'm doing the washing up. I have this little thing called a phone, and this travels with me. And because of that, I am always jotting stuff down. And then I will take it and I will turn it into prose. So really, there's no rhyme or reason to it except I write on a daily basis.
Hmm. And what? So you don't get writer's block, which is awesome. What do you find the hardest thing about writing is?
I think the hardest thing for me is as a believer, we have this amazing book called the Bible. And there are many ways to read the Bible. One of the best ways, I think, is to search for Jesus because Jesus says, the scriptures speak of me. So, where is Jesus in the Bible? Now, this is a rather long answer, so I promise I will get to the point. But the Lord talks about his kingdom, and his kingdom is completely and radically different to what we see with our mortal eyes. We're called to walk by faith and not by sight. Now, as a writer, specifically as a world builder, this causes a few problems for me because I can write the mundane world, whether it's fantasy, whether it's science fiction, I can write the physical. But when it comes to the spiritual, to the supernatural, to the way the Lord has written his kingdom, and of course, I believe we write what we know, even if we're using our imagination, it's being fed by the inspiration around us. How do we go about implementing biblical principles into our work? Because there are many Christian works out there, and again, I'm not throwing stones, but it's kind of cute and it's kind of cozy and it's a white picket fence, or the Lord just answers all prayers, or the Lord is distant. And when you have those two extremes of the spectrum, it doesn't ring true to me when I think about my own walk with the Lord and others' walks with the Lord. And funnily enough, teaching others how to include biblical principles into their writing is what I do. Um, so trying to extrapolate the kingdom and put those principles into my own writing. It's kind of the whole editing thing. It's so much easier to edit anyone else's work than it is your own. And so that's really what I'm walking with the Lord with and learning how to do whatever his kingdom is, his principles, taking that, running it through a filter and putting it into my writing.
Mm, absolutely. And I write contemporary, and I'm always looking for that too. How can I write it in the best way that will be received and not lose what is kingdom? And yeah, I wrestle with that often in my writing. So, a lot of newbie writers, and if you're new around here and you haven't hit that like and subscribe, please do that now. I'd really appreciate that. And I'm going to pop Colin's links down below as well, so you can go follow him. And Colin, what have you learnt that you would love to pass on to newbie writers or people who are thinking they'd like to start writing?
So, something that I tell my clients, students all the time is don't ask the Lord to bless what you're doing. Find out what he's doing and run with him. And writing is both an art and a discipline. It's very easy to have an idea and then it's easy to criticize yourself, or it's easy to burn out. Consistent effort is so important. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, unless you have every day in the Lord. And if you have every day in the Lord, you'll never have a bad day. Of course, you'll have things that you have to go and take to him and think about things, and not everything comes at once. But if you're able to get an idea of what you want to do, and it's something that you can work on him with, then you can fix that point in your mind, and then you can start working towards it. And just keep writing. Allow yourself to make mistakes because the chances are you're going to redraft it anyway. And the other thing is keep all of your old drafts, keep all of your mistakes. If a 2-year-old came up to you with a crayon scribble and held it out to you with a big, broad smile, would you tear it up and throw it in the fire? If you wouldn't, don't do that with your own work. Don't do that to yourself. Honor yourself, recognize where you are, recognize that it's a journey, it's a process, it takes time. If you have something like yogurt, it can either be your raw yogurt or mature yogurt. Things take time. It's a craft, it's an art, it's a discipline. Don't give up. Give yourself grace and just keep filling yourself with the Lord. Read your Bible, see how he writes, and just enjoy every moment with him. And if you can't, then go read the Psalms. So that's probably my best advice.
Oh, that is awesome advice. Thank you, Colin, for sharing. There's so much wisdom there. People, go back, hit rewind, watch that again. So much to learn. Thank you for sharing. So, what are you writing at the moment or working on at the moment?
Well, I'm currently working on 3 projects. 2 of them are collaborations with a couple of clients. One of them is a Narnia adjacent book, and he's actually on his final chapter. We've been working on it for a couple of years. And this will be book 1 of a series of, I think we've got about 9 books planned, um, which is fun. And that should be coming out relatively soon. Not Jesus soon, sooner than that, but soon. And I'm working with another lady. She is a prolific romance writer, but we're working on a sci-fi series, and that's a 12-book series. And so I think we've been working on that for about a year. She's doing all the prose writing. I'm helping her with the world building, with the characters. It's a great deal of fun. It's one of my favorite things to do, world building. And as myself, I'm working on my 25-year project. We don't have time to actually go into it because I could talk for this for hours and hours and hours, and I have. But the basic premise is, if you hop over to Ecclesiastes, Solomon opens with vanity, vanity, or meaningless, meaningless, if you like the modern translations. And he goes through a whole list of things that he has. And that includes gardens, it includes chariots, it includes other things, which I'm not going to say right here, but he had everything. And it wasn't enough for him. And in this world, we're told that we need to have this, we need to have that. For example, being a glamour magazine model, or we need to have whatever the salary is. We need to be this, we need to be that. And more we're headed towards transhumanism. And so my premise back when I was 15, 18 was, well, what if we had all of that? What if we were able to create artificial Eden? And that was my starting point. And so I created an entirely fictional cosmos and multiple different eras, fictional protagonist species, all kinds of fun things. And that's what I've been working on. And like I said, I could just keep talking about it, but I won't. So that just gives you a kind of inkling of what it's like.
Very cool. Sounds really interesting. So you've been working on it for 25 years. When are you going to publish it? Or,
I
sorry.
intend to get my own publishing house. And one of the fun things that I've done with this series is I've broken it up into different eras. And so each era is distinct. It spans a couple of galaxies, something like that. So not too big, few dimensions. But it's just been fun. And so I'm really looking forward to just writing a few characters, writing a few planets. And I have over 100 stories planned, not all novel length, but over 100. And so kind of cataloging that and bringing it together, it's going to be fun. A lot has been written. It just needs pulling together, mostly because the Lord has been teaching me more about himself. It's like, okay, I'm going to have to go back and revise, but it's
Yeah.
all part of the process.
Yeah. Sounds incredible. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Colin. Appreciate you jumping on. It is PM over there and AM here, the way that we have to do it when I interview internationals. And thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll catch you next time on the Created to Write show.
Thank you.